Hey guys, so as promised, I am going to show you how to make one of my favorite carb foods that I've turned into an easy grab and go snack for the whole family. So for those of you that know me, you know that I usually talk about protein, and the importance of protein. And for those that don't know me, know that's coming, but it's just happened to be time to make more of my banana bread bake, so I thought I'd share it with you. For those that don't know me, I'm Erin Moore, founder of Success with More Nutrition. I do have my kiddos in the background. I have an almost 3-year-old and a 5.5-year-old, and so for those that have kiddos, you know how that goes, even though you say, hey, don't interrupt mommy. So I'm sure we'll have some guest appearances, and you've probably already heard my daughter. But so we're gonna get rocking and rolling, and then I'm gonna share this recipe. So many of my recipes, I'm just taking and tweaking from something from Pinterest or somewhere else. Also, just so you know, everything that I make is gonna be gluten-free and generally low FODMAP, as that's something that I have to follow. So here we go. Interruption number 1. We should like count them. All right, there you go. And here you go. All right, away you go, kiddo. So I want to just show you how quickly you can make some things, and then really how it pays off afterwards once you've taken the time to just make something real quick. For me, even hearing somebody say quickly, like it was just like that was some time at all that I had to spend, but I just shifted my priorities to really say, you know, if I spend this time now, how much time it actually saves me later. I mean, I take like as much time to make this pretty much as it would for me to go through the drive-through, and this is gonna feed me for the week. So let's just rock and roll. And again, I'm gonna double, well not again, but I'm gonna double this recipe. I make a larger batch, so it lasts a little bit longer. I do that with a lot of the things that I cook, so maybe take that down as a tip. And if it's something that's larger, I just freeze a lot of it and then pull it out as we go. And this is actually something that you can make multiple batches of and freeze it and have it for, you know, months on end. But so, for the banana bread bake, I did go ahead and cheat, so I already have bananas in the container. I am using a food processor. The recipe actually calls for a blender, but I don't have a blender, and really you could just hand mash it if you wanted to as well. So interruption number 2, just one moment. But so just know that this is like a banana bake. You're eating it with oats. If it's not like purely blended, that's perfect. Like I would love to have little pieces of banana in it. This just is quicker, okay? So, but don't think you have to go out and get a food processor. Mine's nothing fancy, but if I had a blender, I'd be using a blender. I just don't have one. So we have 4 bananas in here, again, doubling the recipe. The recipe that I'm gonna post calls for 2 eggs. I tend to use egg whites instead. If you wanna use eggs, great. If you wanna use egg whites, you're just gonna increase the protein by a little bit and decrease the calories by a little bit. I mean, it's in a big recipe, right? But for 1 egg, you do a 1/4 cup of egg whites. So I'm gonna be doing double the recipe. So I'm gonna do a 1/2 cup of the egg whites. Just pour that on in there. And then the recipe for the 1 batch calls for 1 cup of milk. I think the recipe might call for almond milk. You can use any really kind of milk that you choose. I'm actually going to use the lactate milk for those that need to be low FODMAP. This is what I'll be using. And so we're just gonna do 2 cups here. And then I do play around with this part of the recipe. The recipe I'm sharing calls for a 1/4 cup of the banana bread, of the brown sugar, the light brown sugar. Sometimes I double that. Sometimes I just use a 1/4 cup even when I'm doubling it, just to have a little less brown sugar. But it definitely tastes amazing, and it's still super healthy and awesome if you want to use the full recipe. For this round, I am going to just do the 1/4 cup. So this is the one ingredient that I'm not doubling. I would say for your first time making it, make it exactly how it says and decide from there how you want to make it. You may want that extra flavor. I've just gotten used to it over time that I've just decided to cut it out. And sometimes I just really want that extra flavor, so I'll add it in. So that's what's fun about these is you can kind of just change them up and make them your own. So then this calls for a teaspoon of baking powder. It's just going to use 2 teaspoons because, again, we're doubling this recipe. And with the recipe, I think it says to kind of mix some things and then add some things in, but I'm making it simple. It still comes out the same way either way for me. So this is what I find works. And then it also calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon. I don't tend to measure the cinnamon. I'm like, the more cinnamon, the better. Gives it a lot of flavor, gives it a lot of color. So I just sprinkle some cinnamon in there, whatever it is, it is. And then it does call for a pinch of salt. You can use regular old table salt. I just happen to have the Himalayan coarse pink salts, if that's something that interests you. But I just don't do what's a pinch, right? So I just sprinkle a little bit in there and I'm done. And then the last ingredient is oats. Regular recipe calls for 1.5 cups of oats. Again, I'm doubling it. So I have already pre-poured the oats into a bowl and I'll mix them in later. I probably just mix them in with the blend or the food processor after I mixed everything in, if my food processor held everything. But with the doubled recipe, it doesn't hold, so I just hand mix that in. So we're gonna get kind of annoying here with the sound. I don't know how that's going to come over on video. I've never done that before, but so close your ears. I'm gonna just mix it up a little bit. Make sure everything's all good and mixed. Like I said, even if you were like doing it with a spoon, you're probably gonna end up with like chunks of banana, and that's great. It's all gonna bake in and be awesome. So there are still some chunks in here, and I'm okay with that. I'm just gonna pulse it a little bit, and then I just mix this right on in here, guys. And I'm not sure if I should tilt this, but I just dump it on into the bowl. Again, the bowl had the oats in there, and then I mixed all the other ingredients at one time into the food processor. This is kind of fun, guys. I've never been like, hey, watch my cooking show. But that was the thing, guys, is, when you first start getting going, I never followed a recipe and I never made any food, never cooked. And sometimes it can be really kind of just daunting and scary. Like, what do they mean by this? What do they mean by the mashed whatever? When you first get started, you can follow a recipe, but sometimes you don't really know exactly what they mean. Or when somebody shows you what to do, it kind of just gives you like more confidence. So now what we're gonna do is we just have a baking pan. I have a glass one, whatever you use. But this recipe does call for you to line it with parchment paper. I really am very new to parchment paper. I'm not a baker. So it just looks like regular old aluminum foil, if that's something that's new to you. Or if you don't want to run out and get parchment paper because you have all the ingredients and you're ready to make it right now. I believe that the recipe says that aluminum foil just buttered or oiled down would work too. But this makes it so easy when it's done. I cut it up, and I'm going to show you that later. I cut it into pieces, and then boom, boom, boom. I just put it in the bags, and it's done. So here we go. I'm dumping that in here. And it is that simple, guys. And then we are just going to take this, put it right on into the oven. It's at 375. We're going to bake it for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to show you again my recording of exactly what I do to have it just become a quick, easy grab-and-go snack. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So we are back in action. I'm going to go ahead and take my timer off. We're going to get these things out of the oven. Comes out like this. Voila, simple enough. Then I'm gonna let it cool, cut, and I'm gonna put them into bags. So there's another couple seconds, but so far, guys, in my last video, it took just under 10 minutes, and the first two were just chatting with you and setting it up. It took about 8 minutes to prep everything, and then you'll see how quickly we then cut it up and bag it up, and then it's ready to go for like 8 to 16 servings, so it's awesome. All right, we are back. We pulled this out of the oven. It's had a chance to cool. So now all I simply do is cut it up into 8 sections. Sometimes I only eat a half of the 8 sections, but sometimes on the go, I just keep it in 8. That's me personally. You could cut it into 16ths, keep it that way. But so just cutting down the middle of the pan, and the center again, and then in the center of the 2 sections over here. And then cutting right down center of the whole pan. All right, simple enough. Then I just have regular old sandwich bags, not even the Ziploc kind, because these kind of hold in there just like a piece of bread would, so it's awesome. So guys, can you see how simple this is? I'm just taking the parchment paper and pulling it up. Got one piece right here. I mean, it just peels right off the parchment paper. It's awesome. Put that in there, ready to go. Oh, that one didn't curve over, but that's okay. And then so I just go ahead, and no, not right now, sir. And just put them all in the bags. And I know this is simple enough. You saw me do it once. You don't need to see me do it 8 times. But I really earlier said, you know, basically getting these snacks prepped and ready to go in 10 minutes. Yes, there was cooking time of a half an hour, but I got to just do other things while it was cooking. So, pretty darn simple. These are actually hot. I didn't let them cool as much as I usually do, so. Sorry, I also have a dog, and the dog wanted to get into dinner. So we're just cruising along here, guys. I hope this was helpful. Any questions that you have about this recipe or anything that I'm posting, definitely would love to hear your comments, hear what you enjoyed, hear what you'd like to see more of. I'm going to go ahead and just do one more of these and just show you then what happens after that. So it's getting a little bit messier than normal. Usually I have a spatula to help pull them out too, but so then I literally just take these over, guys, and woo, take them right over to the refrigerator, pop them in here, and then you can see, guys, that in my refrigerator, I wasn't planning on opening up the refrigerator door, but I already have some prepped things. These are my little egg bite things, and these are actually what I eat together. So I take one of these, fly out the door. It's that easy. I'm going to be gone for a while. I'll just grab 2 of these egg bite things, 2 banana bread bake things, and be on my way. So I hope that helped. Less than 10 minutes to get ready, guys. And then I just have them on a little tray, grab and go right from the fridge. So have an awesome day. Likes and comments, shares. Be my guest.